Recently, we've seen the rise of a new country in weightlifting. When a new country rises up in weightlifting, I always think it's a great opportunity to have a look at what they do and take note of their particular flavor of weightlifting. Each country, when they're dominant in weightlifting and win a succession of medals, it provides us an opportunity to analyze their particular culture and that style of flavor they sprinkle onto their weightlifting system. It's not often we get to see new countries in the last 20 or 30 years in terms of weightlifting. The typical powerhouses are the ones who've always been in charge, and to a certain extent still largely remain so. When someone like Italy comes along, it's a nice opportunity to take a look at what they're doing, and are they doing anything different, or are they highlighting a particular aspect of weightlifting that might be of interest to the casual fans, and is there something you can learn and apply to your own weightlifting? Some examples of the other flavors of weightlifting include China, for example, where we'll see you can make a lot of good lifters if you just turn them into absolute beasts. So high squats, high pulls. You can get quite a lot out of their Olympic lifting given the right raw talent. With, for example, Kazakhstan, if we give teenagers loads of drugs, we can get a lot out of their lifting. In Romania, they're kind of a little bit of finesse and a whole lot of power, and you can get a lot of quality lifting from that also. Italy, however, has one particular aspect and one particular flavor that I really want you to focus in on. Let's call it the pasta flavor. Is that kind of a stereotype? Maybe. Is that what we're calling it? It looks like it. The Italian flavor of weightlifting to me is very attractive weightlifters, but also, more importantly for you, is the speed they put in getting under the barbell. And this is synonymous across all of the weightlifters in Italy, especially their best lifters. They are all incredibly fast under the barbell. So when we get to weightlifting and we start discussing weightlifting technique, it is incredible the level of nuance involved in weightlifting, the level of understanding of physics, the quality of movement, the innate movement that happens in some parts of weightlifting, and then on the other hand we've got parts of weightlifting that have to be very directly and aggressively cued. Now when you're walking down the street, you don't suddenly start sprinting, and this is the same thing in weightlifting. When you're lifting, you don't suddenly get faster regardless of what kind of drill you're doing or what kind of technique you apply. Unless you try and move faster, you will not move faster. Now why is speed important in weightlifting? So we're not really talking about the speed of the pull, or we're not really talking about, how fast the barbell moves off the ground. So we can be really aggressive off the ground, but this may not go anywhere and this may not be in any way productive. However, when we get very fast under the barbell, we really exploit one of the most important things about weightlifting, and it's a very fundamental part of weightlifting. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you begin a good journey onto some great weightlifting technique. So in weightlifting, we have two notable parameters that we can analyze. So we've got the maximum height the barbell reaches in the pull, and then we have the height that the barbell reaches at the bottom of the squat, both in the snatch and the clean. This distance between maximum bar height and bar height at fixation is a very important bar height, and it's something beginner lifters have in excessive. So when we see beginner lifters, it's a hallmark of beginner lifters to have a large distance between how high the bar gets at the height of their pull and how low they catch that barbell. As technique rises in mastery, more weight is lifted, the speed of the barbell goes down, but the height of the lift also gradually decreases with this. So as this happens, the barbell between maximum height and how high it reaches in that pull and how close it is to the height it is at fixation reduces. The more efficient you are as a lifter, the better you get as a lifter, this distance reduces. The smaller you can make this distance, the more time you have and the more potential you have to lift more weights. Now, this again, I'd say is potential. This takes a lot of finesse and talent. The best lifters have this quality innately and also through practice as the decades go on in their lifting career. Now, as weights get heavier, it's much harder to pull a barbell higher. So beginners are obviously able to lift the barbell higher because they can exert more force than is actually necessary to pull a barbell into the overhead or into the clean rack position. Now this applies both for the snatch and the clean. As weights get heavier and we start getting into the realm of 2 times body weight, maybe 2.5 times body weight, and in some crazy circumstances where 3 times body weight or in excess overhead, like for example Am Young Chul or Naeem Sully. The levels of efficiency required to hit these weights is incredibly high. Now, one of the ways you can become more efficient is not relying on more power and more force. Rather, you can rely on becoming faster underneath the barbell. Now, there's some interesting aspects about becoming fast underneath the barbell. What the recommendation is, as a flat rule, the faster you get underneath the barbell, or the more potential you have to lift heavier weights. Because the less you can make this distance from maximum height to bar fixation, the more potential you have, the more efficient you are, the better you can use your reserves, and in theory, the better you can lift heavier weights. Now, there's some nuance with this squat under. So one of the interesting things about pulling under faster is you actually apply more velocity to the barbell than it would achieve under its own inertia had you completed the second pull in the explosion phase and then suddenly remove that lifter. The barbell would have reached a certain height. Now, the pull under actually adds height to the barbell. So the maximum height a lifter could achieve during a high pull was not the same, and you're not able to get to the same height you could in a full snatch. You can actually elevate the barbell higher in a full snatch compared to a high pull at the same weights. Now, when we jump under or squat under a barbell, as our feet leave the platform, as you mentioned, we add additional velocity to the barbell. This barbell again reaches a slightly higher height than if we hadn't moved our feet, so an extra few centimeters, and we move at an extra couple of meters per second faster. Now in weightlifting, every millimeter and every centimeter faster we can go and higher can make all the difference between a made or a missed lift. There is obviously some particular nuance with this, so the pull under or the squat under the barbell shouldn't be executed prematurely. The timing of this is incredibly crucial. So it's not cut your pull and get under faster, it's complete your pull and get under as fast as you possibly can. So if you imagine yourself pulling underneath the barbell, your arms are actively pulling that barbell higher as you get under. So it's no longer the work of your legs. Your legs have left the floor. We're no longer in the support phase, and we're in what's known as a non-support phase. So our feet are off the ground for most forms of technique. So our arms are flexing, we're pulling the barbell under, and then we're extending our arms out. Now as the weights get heavier, our arms aren't very, very strong. So the velocity of the barbell lessens. So the mastery of getting under the barbell faster gets even more important the more we do this. So what you can learn from Italian weightlifting, and you can start thinking about in your own weightlifting, is when you pull under the barbell at the correct time. So this timing is very, very important, and this is something that you will learn from your coach and through intuition and from practicing weights as much as possible, the full snatch and the full clean. What you can learn is at the correct time. If you pull under fast enough and you actively try and get under faster, again, I cannot emphasize this enough, at the correct time, at the correct point in the lift, you're giving yourself more potential to lift heavier weights. And I think the Italian team do a phenomenal job of this. So when you're practicing later, snatch, clean and jerk, whatever it is, power clean, I want you to practice getting under faster while still having the adequate amount of extension in the pull and not rushing under early. Hope you like this style of video. Please leave a like and a comment for the algo.